All right, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It's Friday, so you know what that means. We're going to hop on here, talk a little bit about your weekend, why it's been so hazy, Saharan dust forecast, all that good stuff, and even beyond that. But just going to wait a couple more seconds to get a couple more people on here. And we've actually got quite a bit to talk about today. Um, Whether you're watching on my page or whether you're watching on WMBB, feel free to comment where you're watching from. Say hello so I know you're there. And we're pretty much going to dive right into it. Hello, Wanda. Hello, Kim. Hello, Emmanuel. All right. Gary, hello from Tulsa, Oklahoma, all the way up there. All right. Good morning, Charles. Okay, so I wanted to start this off outside today so you can really see, if you haven't so far, how hazy it is in the Florida Panhandle. We are dealing with Saharan dust. We've been talking about it last week for our weekly weather outlook. We talked about how it's on the way, and finally it crept into the Gulf, and now it's finally here. And yeah, it's kind of a gloomy look. This is live off of our tower cam. It's right in downtown Panama City in Bay County. That's not cloud cover. It's not overcast skies. It's really just how dense that dust is. And unfortunately, we actually have it too dense to even see those vivid sunsets and sunrises we're hoping for. We still could see those, and we still likely will see those. It's just we have to get some of that filtered out. So Sunday night is when that's looking likely. So Saharan dust, it was that dry, dusty air mass that traveled thousands of miles to get here across the Atlantic, and it took quite some time to do so. And there were positives, there were negatives to this, but that is why it's so hazy. So it's not to be deceived if you look outside with, oh man, it looks like it's going to be a washout today, or it's going to be a really dreary day. It's just rather hazy. It's not necessarily associated with rain or anything. It's just that dust that's lofted high up into the atmosphere. In fact, you're really not even going to see that many impacts right at the surface. So someone is asking at what altitude. So this is actually close to around 5,000 feet and up. You can see it, and so that's why, because it's dust particles, you can see it in sunsets and sunrises, but it's not necessarily going to pose too much of a threat. This is also fairly common for this time of year. This is nothing new. We're just kind of talking about it more. So Saharan dust is important, for one, because it suppresses tropical development, at least briefly, which is always welcome. 85% of major Atlantic hurricanes originate as tropical waves off the coast of Africa. So this is where that Saharan dust comes from, and it sweeps across a region that is known for generating some of these disastrous monster tropical cyclones. And so when you have all of that dry, dusty air, that's inhibiting tropical cyclone development. So that's one thing that Saharan dust can do for us. So that's what it has done. In fact, we did see Dolly form this week, but that was far in the northern Atlantic, and that was a very short-lived system. And another thing it can do, so obviously that's a positive, and it's going to be dense all day today. I'll walk you through this forecast. It's going to be dense all day Saturday. Watch Sunday, however. Into Sunday afternoon, especially on the west end, we'll start to see this less dense. There's that ledger up at the top, so that really dark orange would be that dense, and then that very light tan would be that light density. So you're really starting to see that finally kind of push off to the east, and then the peninsula is dealing with it. But a negative. So a negative for Saharan dust, of course, is for those that do already suffer with allergies, respiratory illnesses, may want to consider limiting your time outside, because it does tend to make it a little bit more irritable for people that are already dealing with respiratory illnesses. So that's just something to keep in mind. But otherwise, I would say our best bet for finally seeing those really cool sunsets and sunrises that so many people have seen would be closer to the end of the weekend. It's just so dense right now for us. And then as we head into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saharan dust weakens significantly across the Panhandle, and we are actually taking on a new pattern anyways. So here's the pattern that we're gonna, hi Ruthie, hi Kevin, hi David. Okay, so here's the pattern that we are taking on for the weekend. So you already have Saharan dust, so that's going to make for a rather dry forecast in general. However, we also have high pressure setting up at the surface, and this is going to stay put, pretty much going to dictate the entire weekend forecast. So for today, it's hazy, it's very hot, it's very humid, it's June in Florida, but we're not going to see a whole lot of rain, and the best rain chances will be associated with sea breeze convection. So just your best bet is going to be with that daytime heating at around 2, 3, 4, isolated pop-up showers and storms, not a whole lot of widespread coverage, non-severe. Heading into Saturday, high pressure develops at the surface. I drew in white lines what's happening in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. It's called ridging. So basically you'll have a ridge of high pressure. High pressure sets up over the Gulf of Mexico. And with high pressure, you'll notice that with the arrows, those are clockwise winds. So sometimes a high pressure system is referred to as a heat dome, and there's a reason behind that. The temperatures this weekend going to be well above normal in the mid to even upper 90s. I think this is the closest we will get to triple digits so far this year. Of course, we're going to get there eventually, but typically our highs this time of year are in the upper 80s, low 90s, so the mid to upper 90s, a little uncomfortable, paired with high humidity. It's going to be a very, very classic summer scorcher for Saturday and Sunday. But with high pressure, so it's called a heat dome because all of the air is sinking. So you have air that's encouraged to sink, and this is technically stabilizing the atmosphere. And so for the weekend, you're not really dealing with scattered showers or strong storms or severe storms. You're just dealing with the heat. When you're dealing with low pressure systems, typically that's associated with air that's willing to rise and it's encouraged to rise. And so as air rises, we know what happens. It goes up and up and up into the atmosphere, cools, condenses, and eventually you start to see that potentially up to severe threat. But with high pressure, it's quite the opposite, typically associated with light variable winds at the surface. That's also what we're going to see. Heat, very, very high temperatures. In fact, there's already a heat advisory up for South Florida. They had one yesterday, they have another one today. We're dodging that heat advisory today. It doesn't mean it's not going to be hot, and today the temps are going to be back into the 90s, and hot and hazy. Hazy not because of rain or anything of that nature, because of that Saharan dust. So 95 for tomorrow, 96 for Sunday, and those lows only getting into the 70s. Hello, Sydney. Hello, Matt. Okay, so Emmanuel, I'm just checking to see if there's questions. Emmanuel asking, is it supposed to be a greater large amount of dust? Yeah, so actually this could potentially be a record-breaking plume of dust. Again, this isn't uncommon. I'll go back to the Saharan dust forecast in case you're just joining us now. That's why it's been so hazy, but it's not necessarily uncommon. This does happen typically this time of year as we get heating over in Africa, and then we see the easterly trade winds carry this huge dry dusty air mass over, but potentially record breaking because of how far north this could potentially go. So it is a fairly large batch, and so uncommon, no, but for this size, a little more rare. But it could potentially go as far north as areas like southern Illinois. So yes, this is a huge batch. Someone asking, Kim asking, is it safe for people with asthma to be outside? Right, so if you missed this, this Saharan dust really doesn't pose too many impacts at the surface. It's not necessarily all too threatening. However, that's going to be an individual decision, person to person. it's just probably in your favor to limit time outside. It's certainly not going to help. With the Saharan dust kicked up, and it's only for today, Saturday, Sunday, we're already starting to see it weaken Monday. So I would recommend, if you do have those respiratory illnesses, it's certainly going to make it a little more irritable, a little bit more uncomfortable. So it's certainly in your best interest to limit your time outside, but again, it's up to you and your specific situation. All right. Looking through, see if there's any more questions. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Alicia. Good morning, Gina. All right. I'm going to post this, so if you missed it, I will also go back, of course, as always, like we do every Friday. I'll go back and see if there's any other questions I missed. Feel free to tune into midday. That's in 30 minutes. And okay, I'm not seeing any more questions. I'm just going to show the weekend forecast one more time. It will be beautiful, I'll say that. It's just, yes, we're still dealing with the Saharan dust, and man, temperatures are not going to hold back. All right, so yes, mid to upper 90s, and these are real temperatures. Your body reacts differently. We know this from different water vapor content. So the more moisture there is out there, the worse it's going to feel for us. Your body isn't able to sweat as easily. That's what it comes down to. So 95 here feels a little bit different than 95 in, say, Phoenix, Arizona. So 95 on Saturday, that's true temperature, actually going to be feeling like the triple digits. So not necessarily triple digits quite yet, but it's going to be feeling like that. So take that into consideration. Yeah, Sandy's saying that the air quality is not going to be that good, right? So Saharan dust will impact that air quality. All right. All right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend. Always look forward to these. And if you have any other questions, feel free to just comment below. And I will, of course, go ahead and post this online. Feel free to watch midday. All right, have a wonderful weekend.